Car audio has been around for as long as most of us can remember. But what many of us may not remember is a time when your new car came with its very own custom mixtape. You heard that right. Many manufacturers, like Ford here, produced their own cassettes that were included with the purchase of a new vehicle. Weird, right? Stay tuned and we'll delve into the most quirky of music formats. Before streaming services, there was the compact disc. Before that, the cassette. Go back a little bit further and you'll find the 8-track. 1965 was the year the world was introduced to taped music in the car. Philips teamed up with Ford to offer an 8-track tape player for their lineup that year. Pretty exciting, huh? Now, you weren't limited now to what was on the AM radio or FM if you had it. You were the DJ. Now, only a few years later, in 1968, Ford began offering a compact cassette player in their vehicles, and the world changed forever. You know, I look back and I remember road trips in the 1980s being filled with music from custom mixtapes. Some of the music was great, some of it not so much. The tape would repeat itself every 60 or 90 minutes, so on a long trip, you knew all the songs by the time you reached Grandma's house. But that was the way it was, and we accepted it. We loved it. Now, by the time I got my driver's license in the early 1990s, I was an expert mixtape producer. My first car had a cheap tape deck, a set of 6x9 speakers, and a Spark-O-Matic equalizer that I thought was the pinnacle of audio engineering. Now, it wasn't just me crafting these iconic icons of pop culture. Ford wanted a part of it too. So beginning in the 1970s, they started producing cassette tapes that you could enjoy with your new vehicle. Some included instructions for how to operate that newfangled cassette deck in your dash, and others were just music selections. For today, we're going to concentrate on these examples from the 1980s. Now, this one, Stereo for the 80s, appears to be a 1982 release. It starts off with some exciting narration explaining how to use your new car stereo. Let's take a listen to a few clips of this one.
Your new electronically tuned radio with cassette tape player has many advanced features. We would like to take a minute of your time to acquaint you with them. We will pause periodically to let you eject this tape and try each feature. To eject the tape, press the eject button. Reinsert the tape when you are ready to continue. The rotary controls include independent treble and bass as well as volume, fader, and balance controls. You may adjust these controls while this tape is playing. The radio controls are not functional while listening to tapes. Now let's discuss the use of the more significant radio features, including electronic tuning and digital frequency display.
Now, I know you're disappointed that I didn't include the entire riveting track for fear of boring you to tears, but if you really want to hear the whole thing, check the description of the video for a link to the entire recording. The rest of the tape includes selections from The Living Strings, Danny Davis and the Nashville Brass, and the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, and then jumps into Love in the First Degree by Alabama, some Hall & Oates, and then ends with Stars and Stripes Forever. Quite an eclectic mix. So here's a quick taste of that, hopefully short enough to avoid copyright claims. Now it's going to get a little interesting because we're going to talk about the actual cassettes themselves. The tape we just listened to looks, feels, and sounds like any mass-produced, cheap commercial cassette tape. When we get to 1985, Ford introduces the silver and black tape that states, "The first pre-recorded cassette specially designed for your car stereo." Interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a tape specifically designed for a car stereo. Now, if we open up the case, we can see the inside is basically an ad for Loran brand tapes. In the liner notes, it reads, "Your car's interior can reach oven temperatures in the sun. Most cassettes exposed to that kind of heat will warp, squeal, or may jam your car stereo." It then goes on later to say, engineering at Ford began to search for a solution by evaluating a series of high-quality cassettes. They then go on to name popular brands and finish by saying the Loran High Bias was the only audio cassette tape that could pass all physical and operational tests established by Ford Motor Company. Now, I don't personally remember Loran brand tapes back in the 1980s and 1990s, but they appear to be a really high-quality cassette. A write-up on Golden.com states, "Unlike most other brands of cassettes at the time, which were made of more conventional formulations of plastic, Loran cassettes were exceptional in that the cassette's housing was made of Lexan thermoplastic, which has much more resistance to extreme heat. Lexan was chosen by Loran to provide a blank cassette that was more suited for use in the fluctuating temperatures of automotive environments, especially a car's interior during the hot summer days, which could easily warp a conventional cassette's housing. Also, the tabs covering the right protect notches of Loran cassettes were built in plastic mechanisms that would open or close by turning the mechanism with a small flat blade screwdriver or even a fingernail, as opposed to the right protect tabs of other cassettes, which were broken out instead, as the hardness of the Lexan would have made this very difficult for the average user to accomplish. Loran produced blank audio recording cassette tapes, some with blue Lexan shells, utilized high-quality Agfa Cobalt Chrome Type 2 tape formulation. Loran also produced a very good quality computer cassette for early generation home computers. Loran cassettes were also used by automobile manufacturers such as Ford, like we're seeing, included with the new automobiles equipped at the factory with cassette decks. Due to their cassette's heat-resistant design, Loran cassette tapes were also produced by the consumer electronics company Bose Corporation for an entire series of pre-recorded music demonstration cassette tapes. Loran also made blank pre-formatted DDP, or digital data pack cassettes, for data storage for the Coleco Atom home computer when it was introduced in 1983. I will say the sound quality of these is pretty incredible as well. A little bit of online research showed me almost nothing but praise for the smoothness of the mechanism and the quality of these cassette tapes. In the interest of avoiding copyright issues, here's just a little sample of what I'm talking about.
I'm getting new looks from an old lover again.
One of the things I really enjoy about vintage audio is making discoveries that I personally didn't know about. This was one of them. I started this video with the intention of delving into the history of auto manufacturer cassette demo tapes. Exciting, I know. And I'm walking away with knowledge of an incredible cassette brand that I really didn't know anything about. That's what makes this hobby so interesting. So as we end, I'll ask you, do you remember the car demo tapes? Did you enjoy them? What about Loran? What's your experience with their products? Leave your comments and stories below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and please consider subscribing to the channel. We're a small operation here, and every subscribe helps give me the motivation to make new and more interesting content. It really helps me out. For now, that's all I have. So until next time, thanks for watching.
Thank you for letting us introduce you to one of the finest entertainment products available, and happy motoring.